Tsukimichi Mishibiku Isekai Dushiyu Prologue 1. This is the beginning of the autumn sky. Wake up, make breakfast, and in the meanwhile prepare the bento. Finish my club's morning training. Finish my classes and head again to the club. After hanging out with my friends at the club, I return home. I bathe and change. Sit together with my family and then rest. In the late nights of autumn I read books, play games and browse the net. Sleep. That's all I did. There may be something in between the lines, but it's not that relevant. That's why it's strange if I am not sleeping in my house. That's right. Without doubt. Even so, here I am. In a square room that looked like the stars were printed on it. I went around inspecting the floor and the walls of the room. I was concerned at the fact that there is no door or way to exit. And since I have been here, I didn't feel the presence of anyone else at the entire time. Right now I was entrusting my back to a corner in the room and pondering. You are really calm, huh? A voice. But it was clearly a high volume, yet nothing happened to the room. Looking around the room I saw that nothing in the room had changed. I used a high voice just once and then you went to search around the room and began to try and understand the present state of matters, and while being on the lookout you were trying to arrange your thoughts, huh? Who are you? The voice continued. I only understood it was a voice. It seems it is better to understand it by asking directly. God, if that was what I said, would you believe me? No way. This voice, does it have a screw loose? That is unfortunate. Then, I will now have you go to a really good other world. By the way, it's a one-way trip so you won't be able to return to your original world. Oi 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 oi. What kind of stupid thing is it saying so smoothly? About what you have to do, you should ask the one in charge of that place when you go. And with that, I am sorry but I would need a sign of your approval to this. Like hell I will. As expected, my voice went violent. It's a given, it's obvious, who would accept it after hearing that? Oya, you don't want to? It is a weird discussion but I heard you would be going. The voice seemed to have some troubled tone. There is a limit to jokes. I have in no way heard about this beforehand. It's not a lie, I have never heard about such a talk. Okay, moreover, what kind of idiot would just accept such a talk about another world? That we are talking about it is just as weird. With all my ability I try to explain. Famo, it seems it was really not you. I did something bad, I apologize. You see, I am happy that you have apologized but, are you going to bring me back? My original tone of voice has still not returned. It may not be able to do it in a deathmatch tone but I know that it's not a polite tone of voice. It's the fault of this incredibly bad situation. It's not my fault. Of course. The voice said so. I am glad. It's a voice that can understand. In the normal template situations this is the part where it would say I'm sorry, impossible, or oh well, try your best and then throws you out. Or maybe the you are already dead guy tells you that and without hearing complains, it throws you to another world. Is what I thought would happen but I am saved. Well, I am really sorry. But then, it must be your older sister or younger one. I retract what I said. This guy said something that can't be passed as a joke. It said it in a nonchalant way but those were words I couldn't let slip by. Hey, what did you just say? HN? If you are not the one that is part of this then it means one of your sisters is. Don't give me that HN. If you do anything to my sisters I will not go easy on you. The two of them acted like nothing had changed. For them to have resolved to accept this kind of situation beforehand is not possible. And without even caring about it, this guy just says that it would take one of those two. Don't mess with me. But you know, you are the Misumi family's eldest son, Misumi Makoto-kun, right? Why does it know my name? The kids of the Misumi's household should have heard of this, is what I was told. Thought. The voice seemed to be one level more troubled than before. I was a bit surprised by this voice. Even when it kidnapped me out of nowhere it still tried to respect my will. With this, well you see, for now, can you tell me your name? That's right. I have somehow managed to not fall into panic but it's not like I am calm. I am just somehow calm, is a better way to say it. I have to settle down a bit. I still didn't even know the identity of that voice. Famo, you are right. I apologize for not introducing myself. I am called Tsukuyomi. I see, Tsukuyomi. 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 Oya, do you know? You are quite knowledgeable one of the three Shinto gods, that Tsukuyomi, no Mikoto. Oh, that's right. Compared to the other two I am a minor character though. Well that is true. But even with that it's still a big name. I like myths and history, though only a bit, that's why, if what the voice said is true, then it is quite the character. For that Tsukuyomi-sama to know me, why is that so? To start with, the thing I understand the least. In a sense, I didn't understand why I was chosen to travel to another world. I see, you really don't know anything. Alright, I will tell you. And then, the contents that were told, I honestly couldn't grab a hold of it. I was in a pretty fortunate position compared to the people that are called to another world, get lost or reincarnate, or so I thought. Summarizing what Tsukuyomi-sama has said, it goes like this. Actually, the outlines of the transportation and procedure had all been explained. My parents seemed to have come from another world. Since young, my grandparents had already died and I was told that we didn't have connections with our relatives, but to think that was the reason why, during their time there, because of fate, they made an agreement with the god of the other world. That is what seems to have brought me to this situation. That is to say, the price of it was one day I will take one important thing away from you. Is that guy a devil? And it seems that my parents agreed to it. Now that I think about it, my elder sister, my younger sister and I, the three of us were taught all of the domestic chores, and made to learn a martial art of some sort. To think that was a preparation? For the sake of going out alone at any time? No, don't joke around. Something like another world, I haven't heard one word of it from my parents. Well, even if they told me, I would just look at them as if they were dangerous people though. My father is said to be a writer that specializes in making fantasy novels with a lot of presence and overflowing reality, but to think that was because he has already experienced the real thing. That dragon stake depiction and the way it spoke of the comfort of sleeping in a stable were moving moments. And the world that I would be going now is that magic-filled fantasy world. It seems that I am going to be sent to that world with strength that surpassed my peers. Because of various reasons, the people that are transferred from my world are all stupidly strong. In a sense, it felt like I would be released from really heavy clothes. It's not like I would be given immortality so I will die if I am killed, or so have I been warned about. Shiro, stop. This is not your story. From what Tsukuyomi-sama said, it seems that just by living in my world is an incredible thing. Not only is the magic power in that place practically none, the god's divine protection can barely reach. It's a harsh world. That is the kind of place I have been living up until now, or so was I told. Even though I have only been living normally, what a convenient quality. Well, I am truly sorry for shouting at you. It seems you have been having it rough, Tsukuyomi-sama. Makoto, and moreover, to be in between those extraordinary and special beings like his elder sister and younger brother, the hardships Tsukuyomi must have passed because of that. I felt flooding emotions from his situation. Well, even with this situation, to have been shouted by a person he barely knows. He must have been having it hard. Well, to think you would understand me? To have felt such a blissful feeling. How long has it been? But if we are to say so, Makoto Dano has it rough too. Tsukuyomi, he understood my feelings of being the only man in between two sisters. To think a day would come when I would get this kind of sympathy. I will correct myself. If there were a Tsukuyomi Mikoto religion I would enter it. Tsukuyomi-sama Bonsai? Even so, my sisters and I have been living a normal life until now. For a goddess to tell us this would be too late anyways. Makoto, from all the worlds out there, yours is the harshest one. In the eyes of an otherworlder it would be like being in the depths of the ocean or living in a sea of lava. Anyways, that fellow is really taking its time. Tsuki, we were waiting for the one in charge of the other world, but with this, it doesn't seem that fellow will come. It seems that world is a pretty popular place constituted by the presence of a goddess and spirits. In what way is that popular? Honestly, I don't know. By the way, I have already signed the thing God had presented me. After being convinced about it, okay. After all, if I don't go, my elder sister or my younger sister will have to go. I was troubled, really troubled. Because, I wouldn't be able to play games. In a world where machines don't exist, I wouldn't even be able to petition a mobile game. I would have to bid farewell to all my mangas and novels. In my PC there were obviously things that couldn't be shown to an 18-year-old or less. If it gets discovered I wouldn't be able to explain it at all. I am a growing man, so you should understand me, right? That's why I spoke to Tsuki-sama about it and tried to request him to wrap it up in a way my family would not notice it. I will be saying it in a villainous way, but aside from my family, I didn't care who else heard about this. Being cornered, I understood how tiny I was. But that's how I truly felt. However, that was no good. That's why I decided to give up on thinking only about me. How to say it, I was surprised by how I prioritized myself so much. But I wanted to do something about my dark history. Tn Batum TSSSS*. It's true he told me I couldn't return, but for my family that I won't be able to see anymore, to find that and those kind of things. For that kid to have such hobbies. Makoto's father, being our child, how unrefined. Makoto's mother, Unii-chan * filthy. Makoto's little sister / Imoto, * big brother what? Otauto? Could it be that he has been looking at me with those kind of eyes? Makoto's older sister / Nei-chan, * little brother Nuo. Stop the riot? Makoto, I wouldn't be able to take it? Just imagining it makes me want to kill myself? Don't worry, Tsuki, but Tsuki-sama was different. While I was writhing inside the madness of my heart and was about to be engulfed by it, he said this to me. All those men's dreams, books, and software, and also the insides of your HDD, I will take the responsibility of eliminating them. Tsuki-sama said so while nodding. He understood everything about it. A god, you are a divinity. Even if you are minor, in my ranking you are now number 1. You have become the chief god. I am impressed he knew advanced words like HDD. Well, at this time I didn't think a bit about that. I was only grateful that the nightmare had disappeared. Well, with this and that we talked about society and such while drinking the tea that was taken out. I was killing time with Tsuki-sama. By the way, I understand that in that world I will become awesome physically and in magic, but, Makoto, Tsuki, you see, won't I receive a special ability or something? Like a solid barrier or the devil eyes of truth or a rose logia or a heavenly phase? Well, if I have an incredible amount of magic power there may be none. But as a romance I yearn for those. There are a lot of people that get those when they go to another world, you know? That's why I want it, you know? It's only in the fiction world though. From what I have heard, there are demi-humans and even beast race, so even if I had an abnormality I shouldn't be discriminated. Then it would be nice if I had one, is what I thought. Of course you will. Tsuki, seriously. What kind? What kind will I get? Makoto, I thought it would be an impossible request. You will only know if you ask. I don't know. I am sorry, but it will be a surprise for when you get it. I can only go there once and I won't be able to communicate with you, so I am only going to give you a hint, okay? Tsuki, oh, I hope it is something like a blank skill that lets you make any power you want. Makoto, nope, that's not it. I am sorry, but I have limits in my abilities as a divinity. Tsuki, Makoto, I am said to be the one that governs the night and the moon, but my real attribute is really ambiguous. It might be like you say, a blank skill, Tsuki, that's why I will give you the most I can in my power, but I don't know how it will bud. It may even become something you don't want. I am sorry, Tsuki. Saying that, Tsuki-sama beckons me to come. Following what he said, I sit beside him and he places his hand on me and I felt something beginning to flow inside of me. That something went to my spine and began circulating through my whole body, then goes around my chest, begins to gather there and then calms itself. Is this the blessing he said he would give me? I feel like something is accumulating. Is this what you call the point of origin? Makoto, that's right, you are fast in apprehension. There is no problems with the perception of your surroundings. When you picture yourself letting that out, the power will activate. Well, the feeling of releasing it on your palms is the easiest to understand. By the way, right now it's impossible. This place is still your original world after all, Tsuki. I wanted to try it, but Tsuki-sama, while laughing, restrained me. Also, Makoto Dano, I will tell you this even if it's already said in your contract, but the goddess at the other side will also be giving you a power. You will be abandoning your current world, so we will at least give you side benefits with it. Tsuki, once more with an apologetic expression, Tsuki-sama bows his head. No way, Tsukuyomi-sama. I am grateful. Maybe, just maybe, if I was to be sent away without any explanation when I rejected you and in the next day one of my sisters were to disappear, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. Makoto Dano is truly kind. She has finally come, Tsuki. Finally, We have been talking for long. No, we were able to Makoto, if it is okay with you I can record all of our conversation in a dream pillow though. Is it really okay with only this? Tsuki, in Tsuki-sama's hand there were 2 letters. When I asked Tsuki-sama if I could leave anything behind he gave me a lot of ways in a heartbroken manner, but in the end I decided to go with letters. One addressed to my parents and the other to my sisters. For my parents, if I told them about the other world they would understand, but to use those words for my sisters was hard for me, so I made 2 of them. If after that my parents decide to tell my sisters about the truth, I will leave it to their decision. Conversely, I asked if it was possible for me to take something and was told that they could make some accommodations for it. I chose various books and writing tools. Ball pens and lead pencils were a no-go, so I had to manage with a pencil. I wanted to bring a bit of food too, but for some reason I was denied. Maybe there are numerous laws for the management of worlds. The preservation of what's already there, huh? Yes, I don't mind you. Oh, Makoto, my body is going transparent. I tried to confirm it and my body seemed to have become half transparent. What? She plans to take you away without even telling me? What is she thinking, that stupid woman? Tsuki-sama was also panicking. It wasn't like I was going to die, I was just being taken away, so I felt a bit relieved. Makoto-dano, I am sorry. The god that you will be meeting now, there is no helping if you are to hide your displeasure. She is a pretty troublesome person. But if you can, please, overlook her actions. Tsuki-sama is a worldly wise person. He probably has come into contact with a good amount of people already. I smiled while nodding. He made me resolve myself to go to another world and was able to make me accept it. He talked with me and calmed my mind. Those were the words of that Tsukuyomi Mikoto. Even if the one I'm going to meet is an unprecedented goddess, I will accept her. He means the goddess from the other world, right? Tien, yes. Quote, I'm going to meet. This could be called a platinum room. Makoto, I was being overwhelmed. When I thought I would end up in a room with a starry sky, this time I came to a white shining room that was not kind to my eyes. Era, you are already here. Goddess, her tone of speech, just like a goddess would use. That old man Tsukuyomi's power has become pretty weak, huh? Being in that barbaric world, there is no helping it. Goddess, the second voice. Goddess-like. Anyways, only because we haven't seen for long, to have forgotten my personality and decided on a male candidate, it is settled that he has become senile. Ah, goddess, the third voice. Go, goddess? Probably a goddess. There were 2 girls that were to my taste too. He should have chosen one of those G's. If I didn't have an insurance, who knows what would have happened? Goddess, the fourth voice. A GG go goddess? Well, patience. Patience. Now, Misumi was your name, right? You were called to this world by the contract that your parents and I had made, but, goddess, the fifth voice. Is that right? A joke to laugh at, that's it. A god, what a great joke. You see, while I wasn't watching, the balance of the races collapsed. The Hyamans are in a big pinch now. The demon race and the spirit race are doing whatever they want. You see, goddess, when you were not watching, you say? So, I remembered the contract. In a single nap. I mean, in the blink of an eye they had made descendants, so I thought I would call them and make them help, you see. Goddess, this bastard, she definitely said in a nap. Ah ha 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 ha. You, are you really those two's child? Wait a minute. Era, the eldest sister and the younger one, seem to be nice. Ah, this is impossible. Just in case the knit, goddess, Tsukuyomi-sama. This is impossible for me. Ah, your blood seems to be connected. You are pitiful, right? In the family pictures, no, in any place you are an ugly duck. Swan component 0. You are horrible, right? Goddess, hey, I will chew you round you. To give you a power is seriously impossible. I am sorry, but can you please disappear to the surface already? You existence is gross, bug. If for example there were a poisonous bug called goddess that even the lions would run away from it. Even with that it would still be lovely compared to this. If I had to choose between those two I would begin to get along with the poisonous bug. It may be because of my rage, but my thoughts had become extremely clear. I hadn't known such a self in me existed. At the very least, for this thing to drag a person from another world and then try to make them do what she wants, is that something that she should be saying? There is no way, if the state of affairs is like that. A pitiful high school girl that only sees fashion would have a better attitude. No good. Even when I try to insult her, the words don't come out. How to say it? My mouth is just hanging up and down. What are you doing? For you to not even be able to do a conversation. In this world I am the only deity and a maiden deity, you know? For someone like you to be in the same room is already a sin. If I get pregnant, how will you compensate? Bug, this bastard is a goddess. A unique deity. In Galges, a girl with a 100% sin ratio would be more lovable than this, many times more lovable. It was an important thing, so with all my energy I said it 2 times. I don't want to. To go to a world that this goddess is managing is definitely not a proper world. There is no way I would want to go. Tsuki-sama, please, seriously help me out of here. This is seriously impossible. Well, in the regulations it is said that you can only be transferred 1 time, since it's already done. I would want to have a cooling off on this. Bug, why you calling me here because of your own circumstances? Don't give me that. Makoto, Oyaa barbaric? The moment you speak and this, not even your voice is beautiful. I don't care any more about you helping. Bug, what? Makoto, I have already prepared heroes that are fit for my world's saga. You are fine already. Stay still in my world and don't cause problems to it. Hear it? Really, to have made an insurance was the right thing to do. Bug, like hell, that is fine. What is up with that? I myself had made quite a resolve to come here, counting Tsukuyomi-sama, the gods, and the people. And with that I had prepared myself in my own way. I had abandoned my previous world to come here, and yet I'm already looking for a place to throw you to. Okay, it seems like even if you fall from here you won't die. Ah, the people from that world are truly tenacious, huh? I am shocked, Bug, to have come here for only a few minutes, to be able to say those words with such selfish a reason. If I die and I am to do a trial, I would definitely call her with a murderous intent. In the first place, there is no reason to receive this kind of treatment, right? And also, I will tell you one thing, okay? Don't even try to spread your unsightly seed on my beautiful inhabitants of my world. Also pardon me from marriage, okay? Because the world would get filthy. Bug, it's okay. I have already given up on receiving anything from my ears. This is a first for me. The times when the dojo sensei or the club's senpai gave me impossible requests were a whole lot better than this upperclassman or senior. There was also an event that almost became a trauma. And that time too. And also at that time as well? That's not it. No good. I almost ran away from reality. But this is quite the despairing reality. The world I had to go into no matter what. I have confirmed that their unique deity goddess has a spiritual disorder. It's an alarming situation. Ah, that's right. That I wouldn't give you any power was not a joke, but I can at least give you a comprehension power. There is no other way. I have to give into at least this, for future's sake. Bug, for some reason she is reaching to an agreement by herself. Seriously, don't joke around with me. More like, is it normal for a god to have such a high pride? Is Tsuki-sama special, or this thing is special? I want to believe in the tea. For my own health of mind. Hey, the Misumi. Are you hearing? Bug, finally my name has a the in front of it. It's better than this or that, right? Everyone, I am Misumi family's eldest son. Makoto Misumi is my name. What is it? Makoto, I don't even feel like speaking in a polite way with her. But it will definitely be forgiven. That's right, because from anyone's perspective I am the right one. I have made it so that you will be able to talk with the demonic race and Momono's asterisk, so you will be able to comprehend their words. That's why try your best and go make friends with goblins or orcs, okay? Don't go making trouble for the other races, okay? Then, go, Bug, asterisk monsters. What a way of talking, wa? Verwawawava. Makoto, even his shouting voice is not beautiful. Nymphs, clean every nook and cranny of this room. If it spread I wouldn't be able to bear it. Bug, suddenly I was attacked by the feeling of dropping the last words I heard. Am I some sort of devil's incarnation? Even germs are living their lives to their fullest, you know? At least at this place. I'm sorry. Actually, since the first time I saw you and I had fallen in love with you. Because I had to show my divinity, to be so harsh with you. I'm sorry, Makoto, Makoto, imagine if the goddess speak like that. He might forgive her a bit. Father, who is that? Why did you make me do such a harsh treatment? To have given him such a trial? Makoto, lol, like that, and if she tear up while saying it, I would have forgiven her for a bit. Nah, there is no way. Her tone said it all, it was a really natural display, yes. That damn goddess? No, like hell I would call her a goddess again. Damn it! Close to my vision is a surface of darkness. And moreover, cold. Oya. What was displayed in my eyes was the surface of a wasteland. The cold night wind that continued to hit me. My eyes that had been exposed to the cold chilly wind were dropping tears. It was in no way tears that were driven emotionally by the situation, I want to make that clear. From the glittering room to the sudden night sky. Ha ha ha, that bastard goddess. She really dropped me down. It was an altitude where I could tell that below was a wasteland. If it were bright I would be looking at it as if it were a picture taken from modern times. But you know, this could easily counted as falling down from an incredibly high altitude building. No matter how I think of it I would die, right? It's definitely impossible not to die from this. To be so strong that is troublesome, they said. I would easily be broken into pieces. Did I have an affinity with gags? I didn't even need to think about it. My standing in the group was the number 2. In human relationship, I was a mediator and solved problems and also helped out the leader. What a nice thing. I sometimes tried being a comedian but it was impossible. The gag affinity is already a skill in itself. If there is magic there might be skills too though. But sadly I don't think I have those. No good. Then, what? Like that bastard pillbug said I would be dying? Right here? Away? There must be a way somewhere? I check my surroundings. Sky. A wasteland-looking ground, or so I think. The end. As expected, it's no good. Father, Mother. Thanks for giving birth to me in that other world. To not have ended up living in a world where under that goddess protection I truly feel thankful for it. That goddess not divine protection, she may have even cursed me. Yuki-Nisan and Rin, since I have come to this world you will not face any dangers. It has only been 10 years but to have lived with you both as one of you, I am proud. I bit my tongue. I can't bring it to a closure even though it's my end. With this maybe I will get the gag affinity. That's right. At the very least I will close my eyes. I pray that it won't hurt. For every one of you that have read Tsuki Hamishibiku Isekai Dushiyo, Dano, Makoto Dano, Makoto Dano, Tsukuyomi-sama, I am even beginning to hear your voice. I wonder why you are not the god of this world. It is truly regretting. Makoto, get a hold of yourself. You can hear me right? Tsuki, it's the real one. But wasn't it supposed to be impossible to come in contact? What a thing. I have heard all the conversation. I am sorry, I apologize for both of us. To think she would do this kind of reckless action, Tsukuyomi-sama? I went immediately. For some reason speed talking. But I didn't care. It's true that with this Makoto Dano would only feel hurt a bit, but it is not a right thinking that is fine to do. Tsuki, anyway, are you okay? Try landing, Tsuki. There was still some distance before reaching the ground. Could this be the effect of the revolving lantern that are making feel as if time is longer? You will feel the shock of falling to a mat from the 2nd floor. But you won't get hurt, Tsuki. Wow, Makoto, I am more inhuman than I expected. I am impressive. How monstrous was the load I had on my previous world. Makoto Dano was training especially hard in that world after all. Normally it would be a shock without the mat. Tsuki, my training made up for a mat, huh? It unexpectedly has its effects, Makoto. To think with just doing that my body performance would show a difference. But to fall from this height must still be scary for you. I will try to do something about it. You can have peace of mind. On another note, I have a matter I have to tell you about. Tsuki-sama seemed to have a hard time saying what he wanted to say. Now that I think about it. Weren't you supposed to be unable to communicate with me? Makoto, thanks to that I am truly pushing myself here. I will most likely have to sleep for 100 years or so. Tsuki, Makoto, without thinking, my words leak out. That's quite the issue? To do all that to try and save me. That's right, gods are originally supposed to be like this. I made it so it would fit my convenience but I still would like it if it were like this. The words of Tsuki-sama didn't contain lies and my body that was falling down to the ground was enveloped by a white light and had the fall had grown lighter. Anyways, during the time the goddess to come. For you it took quite a lot of time, right? Tsuki, yeah, Makoto, that woman has really done it now. Using the fact that the both worlds were connected, She dragged 2 people away from the previous world. Tsuki, what did he say? Is that not a kidnapping incident? Isn't that kidnapping? You should be a goddess in a way. To do something like this, is it okay? No, no way. Could it be? Makoto, what immediately came to my mind was my relatives. It's not Makoto Dano's relatives. Though one of them is pretty close to that. In the middle of transferring it was skillfully overlapped. Might be an acquaintance of yours. I am sorry it overlapped. It was also my negligence, Tsuki. This is not the kind of talk about negligence. I don't know about the rules of a god, but from the impatience of Tsukuyomi-sama, the goddess of this world was clearly going against the faith. I will most likely fall into sleep soon. In the time you are alive we will not be able to meet. But this incident I will make sure to report it to the other gods and deal with it. No matter if she is a goddess of creation, to have done such a barbaric act. There will definitely be a punishment, Tsuki. His voice was growing weaker. He is really pushing himself. Damn it. Really I would have liked that instead of that woman, it were this good god. That kind of bastard that would do such a messed up thing. Those 2 persons, are they okay? Makoto, yeah. Both of them seem to have been summoned to a royal castle. They have already come into contact with the Hyamans safely. That goddess has given them a lot of divine protection, Tsuki. The last part looked like it was hard for Tsuki-sama to say. It was incredible. That difference in treatment. I understand your feelings. You already have no connection to your previous world. That's why I know I have no place to say this to you. I know it, but if you are to meet with those 2, please treat them well, Tsuki. This person really to be so gently to other people, even though they have received the full course of the goddess. Makoto, receiving a high amount of divine protection from a godlike goddess, it sounds pretty powerful. Is there a need to be concerned about them? If we take off that they have the power of the goddess, then Makoto Dano is the strongest. Even if they have magic. The you that was originally Hyaman already had magic power and over that was able to survive in that world and safely grow up. There is no need to compare, Tsuki. Continuing, Tsuki-sama said. I am a vague existence that doesn't even know what he controls. Well, when I enter dormant state there might be changes in the moon's movements, but the other moon gods will certainly do something about it. Moreover, for me to say it is a bit, but I have received quite a big amount of power from my parents, and the power I had reserved was quite an amount, Tsuki. From parents it must mean Izanagi. To lose to that kind of goddess in divine protection will not happen. Be relief, Tsuki, oh full of confidence. There was a bit of poison in those words though. This kind of situation. Originally, the role of the hero that was supposed to be yours was taken away by the goddess itself, so you don't have to hold back. By the name of Tsukuyomi I permit it. You, Misumi Makoto. I give you freedom in this new world. Do what you want. Tsuki-sama was actually angry. As expected, you are the best, Tsuki-sama? I didn't even need permission to. That's what I was going to do, but I even got an authorization to do so. Yahoo! Being enveloped by the same light as the moon, I slowly fall down to the ground. With the will of the spirits, I pray that we will meet again, Tsuki. The voice of the god that grew cracked and disappeared. Yes. Makoto, from the god I acknowledged. I made my voice higher. Goddess? What is that bug? Is it tasty? I gently stood up from the unknown grounds. Hey, we have arrived to the first POV chapter. This POV chapters are like a compilation of the arcs and will be given in the POV of a related party. It is an insight chapter and not a necessary one, so feel free to read it if you want. There was a goddess whose interactions had long since died out. Its only contact with a human was 1 month ago in human sense. The world it was managing was causing troubles. At those times humans were always there. That is impossible. I didn't pay attention to it at first. That's because everyone that lived in this world was special in some way. Humans. The living beings that stood at the summit was not an exaggeration. Depending on the circumstances, even gods would be brought down by them. Those guys were the ones who lived at the very beginning of the world in the original world, not even crying nor asking for the protection of a transparent god. They took their work onto their own hands. A strict world where its life was limited. Humans were most likely not even aware of how harsh it was to live in this kind of environment. Looking at the outside of this world called Earth, they would think this was actually a miracle place they were brought into. Some humans may even be thankful of God for being born in such a place. In a kind of sense it was a mistaken opinion. The gods who know the other worlds also know that in that original world, the earth was an incredibly harsh environment. As their body abilities were remarkably over their limits, it was natural that the thing called magic power was thin in exchange. That's why it was natural for humans to live for only 100 years or so, and most of them were unable to utilize a single magical spell. That's awful. Just from being born in this world, not only were they stripped off from their right arm, magic, it was also the same as saying that you won't live long. For a person from another world to live here, in human terms it would be like living on top of clouds or trying to live a normal live at the bottom of the sea, without being afflicted by such an environment. One of the reasons why the humans were evaluated as the summit was because they had the ability, they could develop it and make use of it. Possibility. The most supreme yet worst power. Learning from the world's concepts, creating science, humans have invented various tools that made the world a more comfortable place to live in. Originally, in that world humans shouldn't have obtained science. In this natural environment there weren't any living creatures that could have obtained it. A world where the intervention of gods was thin, wisdom was something that should have been incredibly hard to get. But in the present world they have obtained such thing. What was originally thought to be impossible to obtain was obtained by humans. Ironically, it was the severity of this world that made them obtain this ability. In a place where God's intervention was difficult, on top of it a world where spirits were not able to properly exist in. The nature's phenomenon were practically all occurring by a principle. Gods and spirits, these beings that possessed incredible power, were unable to crook nor bend the truths and phenomenon. That's right, if you had interest in it, anyone would be able to understand the logics in it. At one time a human gave birth to fire. By using this logic they opened the door of what is called science. Even between the gods there were split opinions about the humans using the logic, principles, and with that as the trigger, multiple disputes burst out. It was the biggest fight that had happened between the gods that managed this world. Leaving aside how this fight concluded, in the actual time, humans showed a frightful amount of possibilities to this world. Right now it is fine, but in time if they were to interfere in other worlds, the ones called gods would have to face against them. That means humans will meet the deities in time by the hands of their technology. At that time will humans be humans, or maybe they will be treated as semi-gods. Even now some of the gods are questioning this. In this actual world, the humans who could even oppose the gods, moreover obtain the thing called science. They had to prepare themselves as it was a grave situation. This being's unique and abnormal nature was clear. That's why, humans were basically living in this original world for eternity. From other worlds gods to creation gods, they sought to invite humans, but the ones who were able to do so were mostly none. Because the effects that they would receive were too big. They don't know what would happen to the world if they were to summon one human being. To say the least, that world's intended future would create considerable amounts of futures where there shouldn't have originally existed. It could be said that they would walk into an area they wouldn't be able to predict. Sometimes the possibility power, especially the weakest ones, would fall down from it. For other worlds to obtain it was a rare occurrence, and overall only a few of them were able to do so. In the places it has fallen, the god that is managing that world and the one managing the origin one, a number of problems would occur, but as of now no big events have happened. As a matter of course, I refused the request of the goddess. Without a proper reason, and it wasn't like an incident has occurred or anything, to send a human to another world? Don't joke with me. But that goddess told me something very interesting. Then it's fine if it's not human. That's what she said. When I asked her in detail, the world that the girl was managing there seemed to be a race called Hyaman. It seemed to be a creation based on humans that the goddess modified to be the appropriate existence. When I check it out, it certainly was there. On top of it, a modern-styled or so to say home-ground Japan. The misleading name of Hyaman was aggravating, but it was more like a different brand of the same kind of thing. Their body abilities were comparably weaker to humans. Instead of being those monsters of possibilities, they were more on the lenient side. And also compared to humans, these sides were inclined to have more girls. Their magic power that was easy to use might be the effect of having their body tampered with. In an easy-to-understand way, the goddess' taste of girls made them easy to be born in. Also it could be said that they were weak and low-possibility humans. For her it could be an improvement, but, in the point of view for quality they were degraded. Especially, What was she thinking by making the girls more prominent? Was it because you are a woman god? Nah, being a goddess, creation was something habitual. This kind of regulation was something I haven't seen anyone doing. She is doing something I don't understand. Anyways, those Hyamans were living in that kind of world. Living in Japan, there they establish with their children, in the present time they are in good health. It seems they were somewhat receiving the protection of their goddess. It's quite the thing. Though, the way the goddess does things is, how to say it? Amazing to say the least. Instead of clever it was more like shrewd. Instead of skillful it was more like crafty. I was against the way this girl operated. In the time she was managing various worlds, had a change occurred in her? She was not the type of girl that interfered in this stuff. Of course I also had opposition in those so-called accidents. In the same way that the origin world could spill out to another world. Another world could possibly, even, if few, be able to too. But that is something that wouldn't bring that much interest in. Why is that? Because most of them would die. They wouldn't be able to adapt to the origin world. Even if some of them were to survive, the cases where they would affect the world were almost non-existent. The werewolves, the Yukiana, those famous examples, to the gigantic life forms that were suddenly discovered. They would be able to cause uproars, but in the end they were not beings that could create new possibilities. Of course, in such rare occurrences where it happened, gods would provide assistance to humans in order to cope with it. Even if they are able to survive, they will mostly not cause any kind of trouble to humans. By receiving the protection of the gods they would normally live in peace. But well, regarding them there are agreements and issues, that was the reality of it. The goddess seemed to be trying to use that as a pretext. If in the origin world they could live by adapting to it, by the goddess summon, that person would do contributions worth seeing over. But they are people that are living in this world, right? If they are summoned, it would mean that they would have to throw away all of that. Will you be able to provide conditions that can make it agree? You are always like this, right? For a god to take the people's circumstances in consideration, I think that is useless concern. I will tell you this, if you are to do it forcefully you will be declaring war against me. You haven't even obtained permission to do the transfer, so I will not create the gate. I understand. It's not like I was saying I would do it forcefully. I have already discussed this with the Misumi, Tien, not sure about names, as they were transported a long time ago. That's why there won't be denial. FOMO. I see, they were already transported once. In that case the one who will be transported is one of the children, right? There aren't many out there who held a body that can handle multiple transfers to other worlds. Though if it's a human it's a different story. Yeah, all is fine if you just give me your cooperation and create the gate. I will not trouble you. I will handle the rest. It's no good. At best, to create a fitting gate I would have to wait until January. I will look over it. The moment the gate is created I will also be present with you. Aren't you being really distrustful? Of course. There is no change in the fact we will be transferring a living being from the origin world. Moreover, the words of someone who is trying to make me agree to a summon by using underhanded means, I won't swallow them so easily. Is that the kind of words you should be saying to someone who will carve her name in the world of creation deities? Only having done plain jobs, you mere moon deity, because you have the ability of creation you are great? I will return those words to you. It seems you have become quite conceited. Our works don't have such thing as ranks. Everything is necessary. Everything we do is something that we should respect. You being a high-class goddess should feel ashamed that someone else has to point it out to you. Who cares? I leave it to you to do the selection. Well, see you in January. Feeling that she would be preached, she closed the conversation and disappeared. Yair. I don't have that much free time though. Remembering the conversation with her I breathe out a sigh. Today is the day. The suitable day to create the otherworld gate. The other day I went to see the Misumi family's kids that the goddess nominated. Because we would have to choose one of them to transfer. From oldest one it was a girl, boy, and a girl. There were 3 kids in the household of Misumi. The oldest daughter's endurance was low and her physical ability was normal. She only had experience in judo, but she was incredibly good at it. From her body I could sense the power of a god. It seems that thanks to the god's power's protection her physical abilities were at the minimum. Her ability in judo was the results of her training. It's a case where the talent bloomed. Right now she was not aiming the official matches route. She was attending university and was aiming to be a physician. Her relationship companion was a person with a favorable wind. The body of the second daughter was slightly weak. She learned karate and again it seems she had talent in it. I couldn't feel the god's power within her. That even without it she was able to be born healthy must be because at that time her parents' body had already adapted to this world's environment. As she was the youngest child, she was used to being loved. Her family and friends would normally pamper her. Even with her high school test approaching and being pressed with studying for them, she was positively facing it. Right now she has no partner. She was at that age where she would dream of those things. And now the eldest son. This is most likely the person that the goddess was referring to. I don't know about the goddess' conversation with the parent or how she conversed with them, but he was clearly different from the other two. The eldest sister that was protected by the goddess power, the second daughter which her parents had adapted to the environment on time. He had the appearance of someone who had come from another world and looked incredibly feeble, to the point where it wouldn't be strange for him to have died a couple of times. To have surpassed the infancy period is already a miracle. In other words, in a bad way, he was the one that inherited the special characteristics of his parents the most. There is supposed to be a high probability of having a unique appearance, yet he had the average face of a Japanese person. Though his physical ability was properly inherited as it was weak just like his parents. He must not be aware of it but he is walking on an unfortunate life. TN, wow they are really dropping it with the MC. From the information that the fate goddess has provided me easily made me raise my voice. Eldest sister, second daughter, and also his parents have a unique appearance that makes people around envy them but only he had a mediocre looks. Looking at it from just scale it was actually a praiseworthy miracle though, TN, referring to how rare it is to get a non-special face. If you only see at the numbers he only had normal strength. In a place where it wouldn't have been strange to have received talents, it was to the degree of apologizing that he was born a normal person that did not receive a single one of them. Moreover, since he was born in the peaceful Japan, the talent he had would not have a chance to awaken. In a sense his disadvantage width was amazing. As a result he has been living a very, very ordinary life as a Japanese high schoolboy. That is in general a valid assessment. Even if he struggles and struggles, he will still remain in that same position. The configuration of siblings was similar to mine, so I felt a sort of connection with him. The only similarity was that we were in between the top and bottom though. And the only ability of Misumi Makoto. Different from a talent? No, is it correct to call it a talent? That is something I'm not sure myself. The archery he had been learning since infancy. It was his high ability in it. Instead of a natural gift he was more like a prodigy. Different from having been born with it, it was an ability that bloomed from a different place. The ability to hit the target. It seemed a little different though, but in that short amount of time I have concluded that his ability is to hit targets. With that unique concentration, he with his bow would never miss its target. It was truly splendid. If in the future he were to use that ability in a fitted job there is a chance he would become a terrifying existence. Even if that doesn't happen, he could dig deep inside himself with his concentration ability. In the future it would prove useful to him. From the 3 kids of the Misumi family, he was the only one who had this kind of strange ability. In short, he heard from his parents to use it on emergencies, or so it goes. That's why even when having this ability he is aware of it. If there is a candidate for transportation it should be him. If I were able to have a conversation with him I could be able to understand the situation more but, for a god to interact with a human there are a lot of strict regulations. In this time's case it would be just at the moment of the transfer. I felt that I would be able to get along with him. It is regretful. But the other party will have anxiety remaining. Misumi in this 1 month, he had been living as if nothing happened and leading a high school life. He did not sort out his personal affairs, he hadn't even done any training concerning the transfer at all. He was leading his life as every other day. He would wake up, if it was his turn he would make the breakfast, he carried his bento to attend school, worked hard in club activities, studied, mingled with friends, took a meal, trained his body, delved himself in his hobbies, bathed, slept. He was a young man in his teens after all. He had decent tastes. There were a number of people that had taken a fancy to him in high school. Anyone who Misumi asked, at least if talking about his appearance, they would tell him he is a lucky guy. For him it would be the first time in this world he would experience spring. TN, as in love blossoming, The most prominent ones in my eyes are the club activities Koi, Junior, and the club's president. If it becomes a triangle relationship, the ones who are watching from the sides would have a lot of fun. For the boy who has not experienced a single relationship, there is no helping he is expecting something. Watching the love affair of the young ones brings a smile to my face, though that will not become reality, because I will be taking away everything from the time he has spent to the time he will be spending in this world. To have your whole life derail by the selfishness of a god is indeed an unpleasant feeling. He has the right to hate us. Making time in my busy schedule, I had to take the role of the hated one. I am completely out of luck. Well now, I should call him. Dragging the Misumi inside his dreams, at the same time that I created the gate I also made a space where I invited him to. What a stupid thing have you done? That goddess reckless actions. With a face of disbelief I look at Makoto that has disappeared from in front of me. I was feeling an indescribable anger I hadn't felt before. While I was wondering why the creation of the transfer gate was taking so long, not only the appointed person but on top of that 2 other pure humans had also been taken away. I wanted to talk with the person in respects to the transfer, so I asked the details about it, but that boy didn't know anything at all. Aside from the fact that he had not discussed to his parents about it, he still didn't know that he was a Hyaman. That was reasonable. Even if he was to notice it when he was in the other world, I wouldn't be able to be by his side. I pray that he makes a good friend. Its birthplace and brought-up environment. When humans begin to question those, the ones who will become their support will not be gods. The past he has walked upon, friends he can depend on, a figure one looks up to. It's those kind of things. Subsequently, I regret to have made a statement that was like trying to cover for that goddess. By habit I requested Makoto to turn a blind eye on the actions of the goddess. Of course if his relation with her goes well that is desirable, but in the case that the boy follows recklessly, listening to what she said and turns out the result was different from expected. With this kind of treatment he would be way too pitiful. In this situation there was no other remedy. I had lost a great amount power with him, but I still used all of my willpower to send some to him into his vessel. It was really hard to endure on this old body, but thinking about that boy who chose to be transferred in place of his sisters, I couldn't say those kind of words. With only my consciousness I will head over there and track down those 2 that had been taken away. It took its time, but it seems that the 2 of them had already come in contact with the Hyaman settlement. Both of them had numerous blessings from the goddess and were even granted sacred treasures. It looks like those 2 have no problems. Leaving aside the world's influence, their eyes didn't seem to harbor any inconvenience. Maybe it's because of the rules that state the transferred ones must agree with it. Those 2, even if they were confused, I didn't feel any feelings of rejection from them. Now then, about Makoto. I had heard that goddess ramblings to the point of rotting my ears, but I wonder how much of what she said was serious. What? Makoto was really in the sky. Aside from sacred treasures I can barely feel the power of the goddess within him. I can feel it faintly, but language understanding? That not something you give to someone, and moreover it was thrust upon him in an incomplete state. But to think he would be thrown away in this border without a single thing. To the ends of the world, star falling into wasteland, a body falls. Haiku of my season. No. Why am I think about a haiku? With such an unrealistic occurrence I shortly escaped from reality. By the calls of a god he was transferred to this world and suddenly he is in the sky head first? That stupid girl, even if you are a god. What are you doing? I will contact Makoto as soon as possible. From the boy that had a face like he had given up on life while falling, a bit of vitality had appeared in it. On top of telling him that he wouldn't die even if he fell, I told him that 2 persons had also been transferred along with him. As expected, Makoto asked worried if one of her sisters was in those 2 that were transferred. I told him that wasn't the case, telling him that the 2 of them had already come into contact with people. A complex expression appeared on Makoto's face. Even so, when I requested him to treat them well if he were to meet them, he showed me a face of amazement and with a kind expression he nodded. Phew. As I thought, I do get well with him. Finally, I felt like my power was drying up. The time limit is close. I wanted to talk with him about a lot more things, but it seems that won't be possible. That goddess, I hope she is prepared to be punished. Even if she is a creation deity of lots of authority, I won't let it finish without repercussion. This kind of situation Originally, the role of the hero that was supposed to be yours was taken away by the goddess itself, so you don't have to hold back. By the name of Tsukuyomi I permit it. You, Misumi Makoto. I give you freedom in this new world. Do what you want. Makoto doesn't need to hear the goddess, and with just my word he would feel uneasy, but with my name online I promised him freedom. The Makoto who seemed to be happy at my words. That's right, with this kind of poor treatment, who would follow anything that goddess says? In any way you want, for the rest of your life, it is okay to live it as you want. With the will of the spirits, I pray that we will meet again. At that time I hope you will tell me about your way of living in this world. Please, let Makoto have good fortune in the future that is to come. It is already impossible for us to meet in this world anymore. With a prayer that we will meet again, I disappeared from the world of the goddess. My consciousness turned muddy. To have used this much power is a first for me. It was the worst feeling, terrible, is what I thought. Overexerting myself, I was barely able to request the assistance of a number of acquaintances. Finally, I collapsed. Please, let Makoto have a